Hello, friends. Welcome to Cozy Yoga. If you are watching this on the day that I'm filming this, there's an ice storm outside here in Texas, which means everything gets shut down. So I hope everyone's safe. I hope everyone has power. I hope everyone's warm and cozy. So today we're going to focus on finding that cozy feeling within. We're going to build some internal heat. The card that I pulled for this practice was when I move my body, I feel empowered, cleansed, and strong. So you might want to grab a blanket or two, maybe you want to grab a hot beverage, and then let's meet on the mat. So find a comfortable seat. And you can sit on a blanket or a block, or you can maybe sit in a chair. And we're just going to take a moment to center. So you can bring your hands, just rest your hands down in your lap. Sit up tall, and you can close your eyes or just find a focal point out in front on the floor. And just start to notice your breath moving in and out. Feel the air on your nostrils. And let that be your focal point for a few rounds of breath. So the air might feel cooler on the inhale when it touches your nostrils. And then as you exhale, it might feel warmer. And just be with your breath from the beginning to the end. So even as your thoughts come and go, you find those little moments where you come back to the breath, back to the sensation of the breath on the nostrils. And just allowing this to shift your awareness a little more inward. When you feel ready, you can start to bring your palms directly onto your chest, palms facing down. You can have one hand over the other or both palms down on the chest, and start to breathe into your hands, breathe into your heart. And maybe start to just think about or feel the sensation of being cozy. How does that feel? What images arise? What feelings arise? And from this place of heart-centered awareness, you can set a personal intention for your practice, something you can carry with you throughout the rest of the day, even throughout the rest of the week. And maybe your intention is to feel cozy. You can ask yourself, how do I want to feel? And just breathing in this intention for a few rounds, connecting to it, starting to speak it into existence. And on an exhale, let it go. Bring your palms together in front of your heart, and let's take a deep breath in together. Inhale. And exhale. When you're ready, you can open your eyes, relax your arms down by your sides, bring your arms out in front and roll your wrists around in one direction. And then pause in the center, roll the other way. And then relax your arms down. Start to walk your hands forward. We're going to come to tabletop, hands and knees. So the knees are underneath your hips. And the wrists can be underneath your shoulders, or you can place your hands a little further out in front to take pressure off the wrists. Spread the fingers wide, press the tips of your fingers down. Push into your hands and feel your belly and your chest lift away from the floor. Feel the shoulders lengthen down the back, and you can down the back. And you can have your toes curled under or the tops of the feet on the floor. Inhale, lengthen the spine. And then exhale, start to rock your hips back towards your heels as much as it feels good for you. You don't have to come all the way back. We're going to inhale, come back up to hands and knees. And then exhale, rocking back. And inhale, rising up. And exhale, rocking back. So continue this at your own pace, moving with your breath. Synchronizing your breath with your movement. Inhaling up and exhaling back as much as it feels good for you. Let the sound of your breath soothe you. Let the sacred sound of your breath help you feel cozy. And the next time you come up to hands and knees, take a breath here, pause. Push down into the hands. You can start to pull your hands energetically towards your knees and your knees towards your hands, as if you're trying to crinkle the mat in between them. So your hands are energetically moving in this direction. So you feel the shoulders roll down the back. Keep the pull of the hands towards the knees as you start to drop the belly and the chest and lift the head. And then soften in the elbows as you round up into cat. Tuck the chin in, suck the belly in. Inhale, drop the belly in the chest. Lift the head. Exhale, rounding up. And continue this at your own pace, moving with your breath, feeling your spine rippling up and down. On the inhale, you can pull your hands towards your knees. And on the exhale, you can push your hands away from the knees and maybe round up a little bit more. So just a few more rounds at your own pace, moving with your breath. Inhaling and exhaling, rounding up. And then on an inhale, come back to a neutral spine. Take a breath. Curl your toes under. And you have a choice here. You can either just squeeze the hands and the knees towards each other, waking up the whole body. Press the tips of the fingers down to shift the weight out of the hands. Or if you'd like, you can maybe lift the knees up here and hover as you squeeze the balls of the feet and the hands towards each other, waking up the whole body, starting to warm up the body. Take a few breaths here, breathing in deep. Drop the knees down if you need to. Squeezing the hands towards the back of the mat. Feel the lower belly lifting up and in. Take one more deep breath here. And then exhale, soften and relax. Good. You can bring the tops of the feet to the floor. Pat the tops of the feet out maybe. Bring your elbows or your forearms down onto the ground, elbows underneath your shoulders. Clasp your hands in the center. And there's one little pinky finger that's sticking out. Tuck it in so that you can push your hands, push your forearms down into the floor. And energetically start to squeeze your elbows towards your knees towards your elbows. Feel the lower belly lifting up and in. You can press into the tops of the feet and take a couple breaths here. With each exhale, Draw your navel in towards the spine. So you can stay here, or if it feels good, you can walk your knees back a bit. Bring your shoulders back above the elbows. You can lift the feet up here for half forearm plank. Push down into the forearms and hands. Push into the tops of the knees. Feel the low belly lifting up and in. And take a few breaths here. Squeeze the elbows towards the knees. Wake up the whole body. Deep breaths. Activating your deep core muscles as you draw your navel in towards the spine. Now you can stay here, or you can bring the balls of the feet to the floor and lift the knees up and press the heels back for full forearm plank. If you feel your hips dropping or lifting, go ahead and drop the knees back down so you can really get into those deep core muscles. If you can lift the knees and keep one long line from the heels to the crown of the head, stay here, draw the navel in towards the spine. A couple more breaths here, shaking is normal. And then awesome, drop the knees down if they're lifted. Walk your knees in, bring your hands to the floor. Take a breath. And then inhale, pulling on the hands, start to drop the belly in the chest. Lift the head for cow pose. Exhale, rounding up into cat. Inhale, dropping the belly in the chest, lift the head. And exhale, rounding up. Good. Inhale, neutral spine. Exhale, curl your toes under. Lift your knees up, push into your hands, and press your hips back for downward dog. So if at any point downward dog doesn't feel good for the shoulders, feel free to just drop the knees down, and you can do the child's pose flow like we did earlier. Exhale, rocking back, and inhale, rising up. If downward dog feels good, push into the hands. Keep your knees bent so you can really press the hips back. Feel your upper arms move away from each other and feel the armpits lifting up into the chest. Take a couple breaths here. And then on an exhale, start to walk your feet towards your hands towards your feet. You can come into more of an upright forward fold as you bring your hands on top of your thighs and maybe stay upright if that feels better. You can bring your hands to a block or the floor. If you can, feel your head and neck relax down. If not, that's okay. If your weight is shifting all the way into the balls of the feet, bring it back into the heels as well. And take a couple breaths, breathing down the back body. And then on an inhale, drop your hips a little bit more. Exhale, feel the belly suck in, push into the feet, and roll up the spine. If your low back needs some support, feel free to bring your hands on top of your thighs. Let the head be the last thing to come up. No rush. Good. And when you arrive standing, inhale, arms reach up overhead. And exhale, hands to the heart. Take a breath. Feel the weight in your feet. Feel your hands touching. Inhale, arms reach up overhead. Exhale, palms together. Slide the hands down. Bend the knees. Hinge at the hips. Fold forward. Take a couple deep breaths here. Remember, you can keep your hands on your thighs and stay more upright. You can bring your hands to a block or the floor. Take a few breaths. Let the legs do the work. Let the spine hang. Inhale, drop your hips a little bit more. Exhale, suck the belly in, push into the feet, roll up the spine. Inhale, arms reach up overhead when you're ready. Exhale, hands to the heart. Take a breath. Feel the weight in your feet. Feel your hands touching. Inhale, bring your hands to your hips. Yeah, you might want to step to the front of the mat. Feel your lower belly lifting up and in, so we're always supporting the low back. And then step your right foot back behind you. And you can be more on a railroad track. So as opposed to a tightrope where your heels are in the same line, open it up a bit. Bring your right foot out to the side so you're more on a railroad track. Front leg is straight at first. You can play with the angle of the back foot. Make sure it feels good for your right ankle and right knee. Lower belly lifts up and in. Find your alignment. Let that be the focus. Hands on the hips. Focus on your inner right hip. And start to move your left knee forward when you're ready. It's okay if it doesn't go all the way to the ankle. Just make sure your knee doesn't go past the ankle. That's going to put a lot of pressure on the knee. So it can be above or behind. And take a few breaths, breathing down deep. You can reach your fingertips down towards the floor. And imagine that your breath is moving all the way into the back foot. Soften your face. And then inhale, bring your arms into a T. Feel the shoulders roll down the back. Soft bend in the elbows. And start to draw your shoulder blades in towards each other. Make sure the lower belly stays lifted. So we keep that tilt of the pelvis. Draw the shoulder blades in towards each other. You can lift your chin here if that feels good. And then exhale, start to bring your fingertips towards each other in the center. And if they touch, you can push the fingertips together and maybe even tuck the chin in. And then inhale, focus on your shoulder blades as you open back wide, soft bend in the elbows, shoulders roll down the back. Inhale, exhale, fingertips together in the center. Inhale, opening. And exhale together. You can suck the belly in here as you do this. Good, and then we'll inhale and open. Exhale, relax your arms down, straighten the front leg. Strong core as you step the back foot forward. Lift the knees. Good, we'll move to the other side, hands on the hips. Inhale. Exhale, suck the belly in, step your left foot back behind you. Press into the back foot, find your alignment, and start to move the right knee forward when you're ready. Focusing on this inner left hip. Reach your fingertips down towards the floor and just take a couple breaths here. Getting to know your breath a little more. Inviting that cozy feeling in here. So even as we're opening and working, there's still ease in the face, softening the face. Allowing the breath to open up the body. And then inhale, bring your arms into a T. Feel the shoulders roll down the back, soft bend in the elbows. Start to draw your shoulder blades in towards each other, opening the chest a bit. If it feels good, you can lift the chin. And then exhale, fingertips towards each other. Maybe they touch and you push the fingertips together and you can tuck the chin in. And then inhale and open, shoulders roll down the back and shoulder blades rolling towards each other. Exhale, fingertips together in the center. Inhale, opening. And exhale together. Good, one more time. Inhale, open. Exhale together. Inhale, opening. Exhale, relax the arms down. Straighten the front leg, step the back foot forward, lift the knees. And then find your stable stance. Inhale, arms reach up overhead. Exhale, palms together. You can feel a lift of the low belly here as you start to bend the knees, hinge at the hips, and fold forward. And taking a few breaths. Maybe this time you nod the head yes. Or maybe it feels good to hold opposite elbows. Adding weight to the torso, so you might feel the crown of the head pull down towards the floor. Notice the weight in the feet. Take a few breaths. Soften the face. And then inhale, drop the hips a little bit more. Exhale, suck the belly in, push into the feet, roll up the spine. Inhale, arms reach up overhead. When you're ready, exhale, hands to the heart. Take a breath. Feel the weight in your feet. Feel your hands touching. Good. Relax the arms down. Come to a wide stance on your mat. I want to do just a little bit of hip openers because if you're like me the past few days, you've been sitting on the couch watching a lot of awesome movies, but my body is starting to feel it. So we're just going to move a little bit in the legs and hips. So you can start to pivot your feet out, slightly out. The angle's up to you. Hands on the hips. Find that tilt of the pelvis as you activate the low belly, draw the navel in, and start to sit the hips down as much as it feels good for you. Feel free to adjust the feet if you need to. Inhale. Exhale, push into the feet, rise up. So just taking it nice and easy. Inhale, sitting down. Exhale, rising up. Inhale, sitting down. Exhale, rising up. And continue this at your own pace, moving with your breath. Try to keep an upright spine. You can have the hands on the thighs or the hips, or maybe bring the hands to the heart. Inhale, sitting down. And exhale, rising up. A couple more rounds at your own pace. If you find that you're leaning forward as you bend the knees, that's fine. That's just going to add more weight into the legs. But if you keep the chest back and upright, you might move more into the hips and the glutes. Inhale, sitting down. Exhale, rising up. And the next time you sit down, see if you can take a couple breaths here. Find the activation of the core as you draw the navel in. Shoulders roll down the back. Find a focal point and try to soften your face. Take a few breaths. And then push into the feet. Come all the way up. Straighten the legs, relax the arms down. Pivot your feet forward. Hands on the thighs of the knees. And roll your hips around in one direction. Good. Pause in the center, roll the other way. Bring it back to center. Walk your feet together, lift the knees. Good. And then we're going to find our way back onto tabletop. So coming all the way down in a comfortable way. Come to hands and knees. Good. Spread your fingers wide. Press the tips of your fingers down. Curl your toes under. Lift the knees up. Push back into downward dog. Again, if you want to skip downward dog, feel free to come into child's pose or the child's pose flow. Push into the hands if you're in downward dog. Upper arms move away from each other. Feel the armpits lifting up into the chest. You can draw the lower belly up and in just to allow the pelvis to find a natural tilt. Bend the knees as much as you need to. Take a few breaths. Soften the face. And then exhale, drop your knees down. You're going to take a breath. Inhale, lengthen the spine. You can have the toes curled under or the tops of the feet on the floor. And on an exhale, start to rock your hips back towards your heels. And inhale, rising back up. And exhale, rocking back. And inhale, rising up. And continue this at your own pace, moving with your breath. If at any point it feels good just to stay in child's pose, feel free. Or you can continue to flow. Inhale, rising up. Exhale, rocking back. I'm going to choose child's pose. So I think I'm going to bring my hands underneath my forehead and stay here for a few breaths. You can keep the arms out. You can bring your forehead to a block or the mat. Find a cozy variation. A few rounds of breath on your own. And when you're ready, find your way back up to hands and knees and take a breath. And then find a comfortable way to come to a seated position with your legs out in front. And then from here, we're just gonna roll all the way onto the back. And before we do, you might want to grab a blanket to put over you for final relaxation pose. I also like to put a blanket under my head, just a little bit. So we're gonna roll all the way onto the back. And start in a resting position. You can have the heels underneath the knees, or you can bring your feet a little wider, maybe about mat's width, and drop the knees in towards each other. You can rest your arms down by your sides, or rest your hands on your belly or your chest, and take a few breaths and soften into the surface below. Give into gravity. Soften your forehead, your eyes soften back. Relax your jaw, relax your tongue. Soften your throat and your neck, your shoulders, arms and hands, chest and upper back, belly and low back, hips and legs. Just take a moment to soften. And then when you're ready, start to walk your heels underneath your knees if they're not already there. Keep this softness in the upper body as we move through some stretches. We're gonna lift the feet off the floor and draw your right knee over the left, like you're crossing in a chair, or you're crossing your legs in a chair. So the lower legs and feet can just hang, or if you'd like, you can lift or press into the heels, bring your calves and shins parallel to the ground. And maybe you grab onto the thighs and pull the legs closer to you. Maybe you grab the knees and draw them close. Maybe you grab the shins or the ankles. I'm gonna choose the knee variation. Keep it chill, keep it cozy. Find a place where you can still keep the upper body soft and breathe down deep into the hips. See if you can feel the hips kind of releasing out. A lot of times we squeeze in, so see if you can soften as we open. And take a few breaths here. And then when you're ready, unwind, uncross the legs, and bring your left leg over the right. You can grab onto the thighs or the knees. You can press into the ankles and bring the calves and shins parallel to the ground. Find a variation here that feels good for you. Soften the upper body. Breathe down deep into the hips. Couple more breaths here. Soften the face. And then when you're ready, unwind, uncross the legs. Bring the knees in towards the chest with one hand on each knee. Drop your knees open wide. And take a few breaths here. So you can, if the weight of your hands is too much, you can relax your arms down by your sides. And just take a few breaths, breathing into your inner thighs, into the pelvic floor, into the belly, and exhale, feel these muscles soften. Cultivating that cozy feeling. So we're not trying to push. We're just softening and opening. If you'd like to shift the stretch into your outer hips, you can pull your knees towards your shoulders a bit and take a few breaths here. Keep the shoulders relaxed. Relax the chest, relax your face. Breathe into the space where you feel this pose. And then exhale, release, bring your knees back to center. And then if it feels good, you can stir your knees around. So maybe they go in the same direction, maybe they go in the opposite direction. Everyone's a little different here. So just stirring the thigh bones around in your hip sockets. And if you've been moving in one general direction, move the other way. And when that feels complete, bring the knees back to center. Bring your feet to the floor. Lift your right foot up towards the ceiling. Soft bend in the knee. You can press into the heel. And then just draw the leg a little closer to you, finding a stretch in the back of the leg, wherever you are. If you can keep the upper body relaxed, you can grab back behind the right thigh so that the top of the right thigh is moving towards the rib cage. The toes are moving towards the face. And take a few breaths. We won't be here very long. Just a couple rounds of breath, opening the back of the leg. If you'd like to move more into the outer hamstrings for the last couple of breaths, you can draw your leg over towards the left a little bit and keep drawing the leg closer to you. And then bring the leg back to center, bend the knee, shake the leg out, and bring your feet to the floor. Lift the left foot up towards the ceiling. Press into the heel, soft bend in the knee, draw the leg closer to you. Deep breaths, soften the face. Breathe into the space where you feel this pose. And you can draw the leg over towards the right. If that feels good, take a few breaths. And then bring your leg back to center, bend the knee, shake the leg out, bring your left foot to the floor. And then lifting both feet off the floor, lift the feet up towards the ceiling. The knees can be bent if that feels better. And just roll the feet around in one direction, allowing for all that lymphatic fluid to flow down towards the chest where it gets eliminated from the body. And then roll the feet around in the other direction. Good. And then bring the feet back to center. Bend the knees. You can grab back behind the thighs or the knees or on top of the knees. And just give yourself a little hug. Maybe rock the hips from side to side. And then start to prepare for final relaxation pose. So extending your legs all the way out onto the mat. You might want to grab a blanket and cover up. I'm going to choose to do that. So I'm so grateful my power is working. But it's still chilly outside. So I'm going to get real cozy, cover up with a blanket. If your low back is feeling tender and needs support, you can always place a bolster or a pillows underneath your knees for low back support. And just moving into final relaxation pose where the connective tissue starts to cool down and reshape. And it helps to reset your nervous system and just integrate all the work we did throughout practice. So take a deep breath in through your nose. And exhale out through the mouth. Breathe in a nice, cozy breath through the nose. And exhale out through the mouth. And one more time, inhale. And exhale. Start to feel your body release down into the surface below. Softening the crown of your head. Softening the muscles in the back of the head. Relax your forehead. The little tiny muscles in between your eyebrows soften. Relax your temples. Feel your eyes softening back. Relax your jaw, your cheeks, your tongue. Down into your throat and the sides of your neck and the back of your neck. Down into the tops of your shoulders. Your shoulders and arms and hands become heavy. Soften the muscles in your chest and feel your upper back and shoulder blades melt down into the surface below. Release your mid belly or your upper belly and your mid back. Soften your low belly and feel your low back lengthening and expanding. Release your hips, your buttocks, your pelvic floor. And soften your thighs, your knees, your calves and shins, and ankles and feet. And feel your entire body warm and heavy and cozy, sinking down into the surface below. And release deeper and deeper with each breath. We'll be here for about another minute, so you can focus on your breath. You can focus on the sensations in the body, feeling warm, feeling the surface below. Or you can just let go and let your mind wander. There's no right or wrong. And you can stay here as long as you would like, or if this feels complete, you can start to wiggle your fingers and your toes. Circle your ankles and your wrists and find a little stretch here if that feels good. Bring your feet to the floor one at a time, and you can draw them in towards the chest. Maybe rock the hips from side to side. You can roll over onto your side and slowly roll up to a seated position in your own time. Let's take a moment to center so you can sit up tall, find a focal point in front out on the floor, or you can close your eyes and bring your palms directly onto your heart center. Feel your chest soften, feel your face soften, feel the shoulders roll down the back. If you set an intention at the beginning of this practice, feel free to breathe it in for a few rounds. And on an exhale, let it go, knowing it will be there for you when you need it. Bring your palms together in front of your heart, and let's take a nice cozy breath in together. Inhale and exhale. The light within me bows to the light within you. Namaste. I hope you all have a wonderful, cozy rest of your day. Eat yummy foods, have warm beverages, watch fun movies, read great books. Stay safe, stay warm. I love you.